Two Ukrainians linked to Rudy Giuliani have been arrested, and presidential hopeful Andrew Yang, he calls on the NBA to stand up for free speech, all while 22,000 people with felony convictions have had their voting rights restored.
Joining us to break all of this down is the Hill's editor-in-chief, Bob Cusack. He's here with The Debrief. Great to see you, sir.
Good morning.
All right, so two associates, Ukrainian associates of Giuliani, have been arrested for alleged campaign finance violations. What do we know?
I tell you, in this Trump era, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. They were fleeing at Dulles Airport.
Right.
They had one-way tickets.
We're going to Vienna.
They claimed they were coming back.
Right. And, Congress wants to talk to them, so they were fleeing that. And it's interesting. Prosecutors in New York, who are very tough, historically very tough, they had an unusual press conference. Usually you just release the indictment, but they spelled it out at a brief press conference, didn't answer questions, and basically what they were saying is, we're not done yet. This is an active investigation, so what is the next shoe to drop here? That's what Republicans are nervous about.
What did these guys get arrested for? There's a lot of confusion around
campaign finance violations. They basically were funneling money to both a Trump super PAC as well as Pete Sessions, Republican from Texas, who used to be the House Rules Committee chairman. He lost his re-election race last time in the midterm. He's running again in a more conservative district. This is not going to be good for his campaign. He has another Republican in the race, so it's not like he's definitely going to win the primary.
Let's listen to what former Mayor Rudy Giuliani had to say about this.
I began it because Ukrainians came to me and gave me information that they said the FBI wouldn't take and the Justice Department wouldn't take. They didn't trust the FBI. They didn't trust the Department of Justice. They said, I'll give it to you because we trust you because of your reputation and what you've done in Ukraine. And because we believe you have the best interests of the president at heart.
So this was Sagar's exclusive interview. I mean, is the mayor potentially in trouble here?
You never know. I mean, certainly prosecutors like big fish, and of course the headlines in the Hill and everywhere else was these were Giuliani associates, and they are.
Actually, right before that interview, he had lunch with them.
He had lunch at the Trump Hotel, and then I guess they went to the airport. So this is, Giuliani's not saying much. Congress wants to talk to him. I know you talked to him about testifying before Congress.
Right.
Boy, that would be fascinating and riveting. I don't think it's going to happen, though. But Democrats want to ask him a lot of questions. I think Republicans want to ask him a lot of questions. I mean, this indictment raises a lot of questions, and there's going to be more chapters, but we'll see where it goes.
There's another story sweeping the country right now, Bob. That's the NBA, obviously. So presidential candidates have weighed in. I know the current story with the Hill is that Andrew Yang has particularly ripped the National Basketball Association, asking them to stand up for free speech rights of their employees in a statement to the Hill. Is this typical for the Democratic race? I mean, it seems to be a bipartisan condemnation.
It is. I mean, this is a disaster for the NBA. I mean, let's put it straight. I mean, they're shutting down questions from journalists about
and now banned all press conferences.
Yes,
this morning.
NBA players are not allowed to answer questions about China. So where is now? Of course, what's the bottom line? And the thing is, I didn't even realize how popular the NBA is in China. It's extremely popular. So this comes down to the almighty dollar, and the NBA is bending down to it. When this Houston Rockets general manager just issued this tweet supporting...
Who knew?
No idea. It would be an international incident.
Yeah, wow, it's great. I can't believe they shut down all
press conferences. And one thing, Bob, is I have been struck. Trump is absent from this thing completely, and I don't understand it. No other president has ever, he made China the centerpiece of his campaign, right? Moved the Overton window on everything for American politics. Outside of a single statement to a reporter based on a question, no tweets, nothing. Why do you think that is?
Well, he did issue one tough statement, and I thought, and part of that is because remember the NBA fan base is also a lot more liberal than the NFL fan base. Who obviously he seized on the culture issue, seizing on kneeling. So NBA teams don't go to the White House. So I think Trump is going to weigh in more and more because this issue is not going away.
But he's also got the delicate balance of if he's going to get a deal with China. I mean, that's complicated for him, and he hasn't exactly been great or amazing on standing up for Hong Kong either. Or totally clear there.
No, Chris, there have been reports that there have been deals. Okay, if we're going to come back to the table with you, China is saying, then you can't talk about Hong Kong. You can't do this. So it is a delicate balance. wants. He wants to get a trade deal. It's not looking great.
Yeah. So Commonwealth of Virginia restoring voting rights to felons. What's going on there?
Governor Northam still around. Unbelievable.
And restoring felonies.
There you go.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a big issue for voting, and Virginia has gone from a red state really more to a blue state. It's still purplish a little bit, but sort of. Yeah, it's moved in that direction. This has been a big issue in a number of states, including Florida.
Right.
So this is, I think you're going to see more of this because obviously this helps the Democrats for 2020, and it's something that Democrats say, well, listen, you shouldn't strike all their voting rights for their life if you commit a felony, but others have different opinions.
This is more of a starting to be a bipartisan issue,
that's
actually.
True. That's true.
But Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe of Virginia, who preceded Northam, this was also a big pledge and issue for him as well. So.
And criminal justice reform was a bipartisan bill that passed that Trump signed into law.
Yeah. I understand that there's some new reporting that the Hill's going to be talking about Joe Biden. He's doubling down. What does that mean exactly?
Well, Joe Biden, there have been some Democrats, and we've written about, New York Times has written about it too, that they're not real. Democrats are not real pleased of how he's dealt with the Hunter Biden controversy. That he has not been out front enough. Sure, he's written an op-ed here. He's addressed it, but not very forcefully. That he should come out almost Trump-like and go after Trump. So they feel like, remember, it reminds people of their best argument. What they think is that I've got the best shot to beat Donald Trump. Now, in his rally last night, President Trump said, the reason why he was a good VP is he learned how to kiss Barack Obama's ass. And it's not like Mike Pence has been disloyal.
Yeah, right.
So, excellent point.
Yeah. So anyway, but Trump loves talking about Biden.
He does.
And I think it's an effective one. One of the things.
There was a lock him up chant at the rally last night.
There was a lock him up chant, and the other line that got him a lot of applause that you're seeing a lot of Republicans talk about on social media. Where is Hunter Biden?
Right.
Where is he?
Oh yeah.
How about you answer all these questions?
Right?
So again, there hasn't been proof of corruption, but where is Hunter Biden? What was he doing for that energy company? He's underground, and I think that's an effective strategy.
I saw reporting this morning from Bloomberg that the Biden campaign is really putting out the message to the other Democrats in the race: you better not touch this thing.
That's right. That's right.
They are incredibly they said if you consider yourself a Democrat, you can't touch this. But the reality is, if you consider yourself a Democrat who cares about corruption, there are real questions here. Yeah. His son was serving on, this is not a conspiracy theory, he was serving on that board making $50,000 a year
His company
with
did
zero
receive
experience.
$1 billion loan from China.
And he was an energy expert.
That's the reality.
Right? Yeah.
And you know what? I think they're nervous. They're nervous about Warren specifically. Right. It would work totally for her script, but Democrats are generally speaking nice, at least publicly. Yeah. Castro went after Biden's age, and that backfired.
I think they ought to be worried about Bernie, because Warren has already basically signaled we're not going to touch him. Right. She's gotten questions. We haven't heard from Sanders on this yet.
That's right, and Sanders is, Warren has been the one catching Biden in national polls. Now, I mean, Biden's right there; he's in good shape.
Right.
But Warren's there. Bernie had the heart attack, so yes, and it would fit into Bernie's script too.
Yeah.
But it's all in how you do it, and I think it's dangerous if you're going to mention it, let's say, in the debate next week.
Yeah, I'm very curious. So then finally, I think that we have some new reporting also about Lindsey Graham. He's caught in the middle right now, particularly because he's the broker between Trump. He's basically the biggest defender of Trump on impeachment and his biggest critic whenever it comes to Syria policy.
Right.
It's a very unique relationship. Yeah. We know Graham and Trump went at it in the 2016 presidential, and then they were friends. And Graham is up for re-election. He has not yet been officially endorsed by Trump. He will be, I'm sure. Graham was worried about a primary. He doesn't have to worry about a primary now. But he feels very strongly about Syria, as many Republicans do.
He always has.
And this is going to be an issue next week when Republicans come back into town. They don't know what's happening with the investigation, what we're going to hear from other people testifying on impeachment-related things, and then what's going to happen in Syria and more deaths and the Kurds. Reporters are going to be going to Republicans and saying, "What do you think? What do you think?" And it could be a bad week for Republicans next week.
I think Graham secured his Republican primary nomination when he had that Kavanaugh performance.
Yes.
That meant he was going to be fine. In terms of a Republican primary, he was good to go. Bob, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. Next on Rising, presidential candidate Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard might be boycotting the next Democratic debate.
We're going to ask her what led to that decision and her thoughts as a member of the Hawaii National Guard on the U.S. pulling out of Syria. Our conversation when Rising continues.